Hi everyone, happy solstice. In this video, I am going to offer you some Akashic Records guidance and messages around the topic of solstice, but more around the topic itself of dark and light, of shadow self and soul self. It's a very inspiring topic. And if you're new to my channel, I'm Anika. I'm an Akashic Records professional, instructor, teacher, consultant, and reader. I have been reading the Akashic Records for over 13 years and also teaching for over 10 years. And I'm super passionate about the records because I feel like this is our divine birthright, and it certainly helps us on our spiritual path, but also in life. Generally, the records are used for soul level guidance. There is an element of healing as well. And if you are completely new, just so that you know and have a reference point, the records are this infinite, giant library of the soul. They contain the entire history or journey of soul, past, present, and future, but they're really, as I mentioned, more about that soul level guidance and healing. And there's many other benefits and uses of the records. If you're interested in that, you can follow my channel or also look for the links in the description to kind of learn a little bit more about the records and learn that in the class setting. I teach these classes every year, and you can look them up in the description. On to the guidance. I am already in the records. Full transparency, as you always know if you followed my channel, I'm in my own records, which is the right thing to do. This is a collective reading and messages, and we are going to really work with questions because the questions are the best way to jump and work in the records. They give us that movement of energy. So the questions are going to be really around what we have mentioned in the beginning, which is the shadow self, the light self that can really help us harness this energy of solstice. But first, with the general message, which is coming from the records, and that is this dynamic of light and darkness exists within every human for the purposes of growth, right? So I don't want you to be afraid of the darkness or the shadow self, or when sometimes you feel what we call low vibrational. It's all meant to inspire growth. Ultimately, light is what exists within each of us. That's that light of the divine, light of the soul. And in the records, what they're mentioning, it's also referring to expansion in consciousness, right? That unity consciousness, that when we feel no separation between us and the divine and many aspects of the divine, that we are ultimately able to really embody more of that light within ourselves. And that's partially what we're working on a collective level. You can call it ascension. And essentially that in every moment, we are able to find that light, even in challenging situations, but that even the darkness, the shadow, the lower vibrational parts of self show us where there is way to expand, to grow, and where there is separation in consciousness, where there is this lack. And it is the human journey that inspires us to find the light within us, right? The prompting of the soul, but ultimately it is our human self and human situations that guide us to find that light. So this is just a general message, and it's a beautiful message. And so take what resonates with you, as well as these questions. I am going to look up and down because I have these questions written down. And the first one that I want us to explore and answer is what has your shadow self taught you? What can you learn, right, from that shadow self? And when I say shadow self, I'm really referring again to those lower vibrational states, a lot of survivalistic ideas that we have ego self, right? The limitations. And the first thing that is coming from the records is the shadow self, like we mentioned in a general message, really resonates with this lack or a limitation. So it is teaching you where those doubts, fears, where some of these karmic patterns are, where the human condition really takes you, right? That suffering, the pain that Buddha talked about, that's a lot of times what the shadowed self is teaching you. It's teaching you that in essence, there is this human condition and frailty to all of us, but then that ultimately how you approach it, it's going to lead you to the light, right? How you bring the light, the spiritual awareness. But that's what that shadow self, when it comes to the ego, ultimately it is about protection. So if you are in those lower vibrational states, if you are, feeling the fears and the doubts and the limitations of the ego and that separation, it really is teaching you to look at it from a different perspective, to bring into more spiritual awareness. And it's teaching you, right, the limitations that are there, that we accept that as a human condition because we are only human, right? We're not meant to overcome everything in a way that, right, where we are super beings, right? We can acknowledge the limitations, the lack, the separation, but then how we look at it and how we approach it is going to really make a difference. Number 2 question is, what part of shadow self is asked to be seen, acknowledged, or healed at this time? Now, because many of you are watching this video, I want you to be aware that many different scenarios can come out. But a lot what I'm getting is these patterns of thinking. So right at this moment, where a lot of us are limiting ourselves and where the shadow is really showing up is in our thought patterns. It could be programming. This could have come from childhood, from the collective, but it really is leaning into that mind. And the mind itself, these thoughts that we carry are in itself sort of kind of could bring us down. They could also limit us to what we see as possible. They could limit the manifestation, but this is what really needs to be addressed. And I know a lot of you, what they're saying in the records, have been working on this for a long time. They're mentioning the law of attraction, right? The repatterning of thoughts. And what they're calling you is to go deeper into the core of some of these thoughts. Where are these thoughts really, where have they started? Whose voice are you actually hearing? Is it like, for some of you, is actually a teacher, or some of you could be a parent. For some of you, it's your old self, right? Really talking a lot of times very critically, kind of like keeping you in this limitation and lack, where you're really looking for expansion and abundance. So the first thing you want to do here is look for the core. For a lot of this core, as I'm saying, is it's in this lifetime. For some of you, it is tied to the ancestral pattern. I know this has been coming through in previous readings, but it is that ancestral pattern of unworthiness, of this imposter syndrome. Again, this is coming through, so it must be that same people are watching this. And if you are, it's okay to just acknowledge, right? Sometimes it is about, right, knowing that there are some lifetimes and within your soul group where you have made yourself little, right, to fit in. And sometimes people have put you down and made you feel very belittled. And that has affected your confidence. As a matter of fact, it affected your worthiness. And a lot of us are looking for that worthiness through appreciation of others. This is coming from the records. And so they want you to really think of, how can I love and appreciate myself no matter what my peers and others think, right? How can I find that validation and love from the divine within myself? But it's going to require some work on this ancestral pattern and work on these thought patterns. And what can also help is, right, you can do affirmation, although the records are calling them gentle affirmations, right? Something that makes sense to you opposed to something that is fairly like where you have to convince yourself to believe in it, right? It's got to be belief that is plausible, authentic, and real for you. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 3 is, what is my shadow self asking me to release with love and gratitude? What a great question. Part of it is what we just mentioned that needs to be healed. And part of it is this shadow self really just wants to be loved. So if this is your old self, your inner child, your past karmic self, you can allow it in your heart. This is what's coming from the records. Imagine it coming into your heart space and really allow it to, like in a meditative state, maybe call it in to your heart space. Even if you don't know, is it me, the 3-year-old? Is it me, the 7-year-old? Is it me from the past life? Is it me from, right, like my old self, like 10 years ago? You can just set the intention that whatever shadow self wants to be loved enters your heart, and with that, release any judgment, fears, and doubts that are pressing upon you and keeping you stuck in this space. Your shadow self really just want to be integrated into the light. So if you are called to do that, please practice this, what just came through the records. Call it into your heart space, send it a lot of love, and allow for all the judgments, fears, and doubts to be released in that moment. That's such a great question. Okay, we're moving along. Question number 4, where have I outgrown my old identity, right? My old shadow self beliefs and role. Again, a beautiful question. If you're wondering what these questions come from, is my own work in the records, suggestions from others, and they came in the readings, through readings, Akashic Records readings that I do with spiritual seekers. So where have I outgrown my old identity, my old shadow self, beliefs, and roles? Partially what's really coming through is with other people. So it could be that you have from that pattern of imposter, or what we mentioned before, like unworthiness, is that people-pleasing pattern as well. And so there's no need for like proving yourself to others. This is where you have really outgrown it. There's no need to look for validations from others. It's more about looking for that inner validation, that inner light. And sometimes what's coming through records, it's hard for us to recognize that this is what it is, right? That this is what we have outgrown. But if you notice that other people's opinions or judgments may just kind of touch you but not affect you as much, this is how you can recognize you've outgrown this. And maybe this is the first step, is recognizing that, yes, I get hurt by other people's opinions, especially if they're close to me, but I'm no longer needing their approval to be myself and to do what I'm meant to do. Okay, this is beautiful. So let's now move into the light part of this. And the next 3 questions are going to be more about the light than the shadow. And so the first question, which is on our list, question number 5, is what truth can I embrace about myself as I move forward in my life? And again, that you are part of the divine. That's the first thing that's coming from the records, that you are light in itself. That whatever you choose to really embody is that what comes out for you to experience. Embodiment is a very interesting thing because a lot of times people get confused. Is it a state that you're embodying? Is it the vibration? Is it the emotion? And it really, what's coming through the records is all 3. So when you think of the truth, it's the truth of who you are as a light, as a spirit, as a human. The truth is that you are of the divine. That would really help you if you have an awareness, at least, that you are not separated from the divine, that you are light, that there is light within you, but also that you recognize how hard you've worked on yourself, that you recognize what you truly desire to embody, whether this is joy, patience, healing, right? Those spiritual qualities that you've been working on, maturity. I know that's something I've been working on, is a spiritual awareness resonates with me, but I also want to have that discernment and maturity in my life as well as a spiritual seeker. So this is what I want you to think. What is it that you want to embody, as well as accepting you are of the divine, you are the light, knowing yourself as a human, and honoring, right, your boundaries as well. And what is it that you want to embody as you move forward more? What is it more that you want to embody? Like I mentioned, I want to embody more of that discernment and spiritual awareness as I'm moving forward in life, and have that spiritual maturity and wisdom. And if for you it is about embodying more joy, more presence, more healing, more patience, more humility, more, like outspokenness, whatever that is, think of the qualities that you are really trying to foster within you. Okay, excellent. Let's move to question number 6, which is really related to light. What am I being asked to remember about the light within me? Well, one of the first things that's coming through is that this is not the first time that you're remembering the light within you. But for a lot of you, including myself, this was a collective experience. So perhaps that ascension piece that we talk about a lot, which is embodiment of the light itself and resonating on a higher vibration, is what we are trying to remember. We are really, including yourself, right? You're trying to remember what it is to be this spiritually awakened being in this lifetime, with everything that this lifetime brings, which is a lot of movement energetically. The energies are very, very fast and very fast moving. They're saying because of the technology, but also because of the life pace, how can I be spiritually awakened in the life pace that the collective and the society and reality that I'm living in is giving me? One of the things that is also being brought is to remember that you're not alone, to remember that there is unity within you and unity with others as well. There's a lot of, and that has been coming through the readings, isolation within humanity, unfortunately, because of the pace of life and the way that we live. And again, it's not like we want to reject the pace and the innovation and the everything else. It is about understanding that that's there, right? Life is moving forward. The collective is moving forward. The energies are moving forward. Everything is happening, but in that space, you are asked to remember of your own light within you, your own ascension and spiritual awareness in this moment, on the planet. You can do this, right? It is about creating the life within this reality. And you try to do that with previously, like in other lifetimes. But it seems like for a lot of us, it was about other people's opinions and movements and doing this in groups. Again, you're not alone. There are groups around you, but each of us will also have their own path within this group. So it's good to have that dynamic of I'm reaching towards the group, I'm recognizing the light within me, I'm recognizing the light on the planet, I'm remembering who I am, I'm remembering who I am by myself within a group, and then I also understand I have my own unique path that I'm willing to invest in. And if there are different groups, which for a lot of us I see, that within this big soul group that I'm interacting throughout my life, that this is the dynamic of this Aquarian age. It's meant to move faster. That's what's coming from the records. And it's meant for these upgrades as well on the planet and the availability of light, love, expansion in consciousness is faster because of the pace that we are setting in other areas of life as collective. So this is a positive thing. So I know this was very like spiritual and ethereal, but take what resonates with you, just leave the rest. You know, it may make sense to you on some level. And the final question is, what seeds of love and light can I plant energetically for future possibilities? What seeds can you plant? And this is, again, a very beautiful question. And the seeds are really seeds, what they're telling me in consciousness. And again, coming back to that embodiment of qualities, it is about also opening your heart. So it is moving us into the expansion of consciousness, but also into more heart-centeredness. This is about us learning how these possibilities would align with our mind, heart, and will. In other words, with our soul and ego. It's about bridging the 3D reality and the 5D awareness. So if we can really come from that perspective of spiritual awareness and spiritual wisdom merging, and you find the ways to really kind of translate that into your life. So bring that spiritual wisdom into your life and really align your possibilities and desires in life with your mind, heart, and will, or with your ego and soul. So a lot of times this is about purpose and seeing how is this for, aligned with my soul's purposes. A lot of times it is about deeper meaning. So how can you do it is really like ask, think of possibilities, because possibilities are everywhere. Think of your wildest, they're saying, think of your wildest dreams and possibilities and see how does that align with my purposes, with a deeper meaning and zest I have for life, and how can I do this where the spiritual wisdom will guide me, but I can ground these possibilities and really align them with my path. And, you can also ask the question, what does my heart, feel about? How does my heart feel about these possibilities? What does my mind think? And am I willing to do something about it? And when you really can align this with your mind, heart, and will, which is really the response between the ego self, and the spiritual self, then it'll really make more sense. And you can plant these seeds with more, spiritual awareness, spiritual maturity, and love and light. Okay, this is our final question. I hope that this has helped you enjoy the energies of the solstice, although this reading can be also timeless and you can listen to it every solstice, or you can really utilize it at the end of the year. Just know that you are loved and supported from the Akashic Records, that your guides and the records called masters, teachers, and loved ones are there for you. And if you're again called to learn more about the records, check the links in the description. If you are really into what I've disclosed, talked about, the guidance that came through, please like, share, and subscribe. And just so that you're aware, I do read your comments as well. So if you want to comment, I just ask that you are kind in your comments, which most of you are. And just know that my role here is, as much as I love to present my face and that really that external thing for me, it's more the human thing. And just know that it's more about these messages for me. It really is more about our soul to soul connection, and that's why I'm doing this as well. I love that you notice, things about my appearance and that you have beautiful advice around that. But just know, I show up here as a soul, as a presence, and also as a human to really join with you in this beautiful union and for these beautiful messages. With that, I wish you all the best, and I hope that we join in again for the next video of guidance and messages from the Akashic Records. Bye now.